Welcome to your practice. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at. I'm happy you joined me today. This class, this practice, we're going to be on. Our theme is waves. So, thinking about the way that our life moves in ebbs and flows, and we go with it. Sometimes we don't, sometimes it's bumpy. Also, in waves, noticing how when we cast intentions and we do things, we create ripples in our lives and other people's lives. So, making sure that we're carrying ourselves in a way that is trusting in the way things flow, the way we do things. It just is trusting. So, our quote for today comes from Brian Anthony's, who is a jewelry maker that makes intentional jewelry. The quote is, "Life is not always going to go as you had planned. Tides change and things go in different directions. You can't stop the waves from coming, but you can learn to move with them. They may not take you in the direction that you had planned, but they will take you exactly where you are meant to be." So keeping that in mind today, that things might not go the way you planned, but you will always end up on the shore that you were meant to end up on. So without further ado, let's get moving. Where to start? Push play. We're going to start in a comfortable seated position. Today, that can be cross-legged, that can be sitting on your knees or shins, wherever you are is exactly where you need to be. We're going to start by closing down our eyes and starting to connect with our breath. We'll inhale, pull air in through our nose, filling up our belly, filling up our ribs, filling up our chest. We're going to exhale from our belly, from our ribs, and from our chest. Breathing this way, filling yourself up, zone by zone, moment by moment, until you can only sip in the tiniest little bit of air. And then exhaling fully, letting your ribs relax down, letting your diaphragm relax. We'll inhale, fill up our belly, fill up our ribs, fill up our chest, and exhale from our belly, from our ribs, and from our chest. And then just to try something different on this next inhale, we're going to start with our chest, filling it up, expanding into our ribs, filling them up, and then getting down into the lower lungs by pressing the belly out as we breathe in. And then exhaling from our belly, from our ribs, and from our chest. Doing our best to keep this breath moving through our practice today. And we'll slowly start bringing in circular movement into our torso. So going with counterclockwise, I'm spiraling my shoulders around my hips, or pelvis, around my pelvis. So just gentle circles here. Just starting to get into our body, setting our intention to really be focused on our movement and noticing the waves that moving our body creates within ourselves, slowly changing direction to circle the other way. And then we'll bring those circles to stillness, sitting up nice and tall, pressing the crown of our head up towards the sky, chin slightly tucked, and we'll start to bring circular movement into our shoulders. So rolling our shoulders forwards, up, back, and down. And then alternating one shoulder at a time, really exaggerating these circles like you're trying to crawl backwards with your shoulders. Bringing in your whole torso into this movement as you walk your shoulders back and sway side to side, Big exaggerated movements. And then we'll bring our shoulders back level with the ground and shimmy them side to side. So keeping our shoulders parallel with the floor, sliding side to side to side. Thumbs up. And we'll do little circles with our thumbs. And then we'll open our hands fully, opening and closing. Our hands. Stretching them open, squeezing our fists inward as we shimmy side to side. And then next time we're over to the right, we're going to stay there, lowering our right elbow to the floor, forearm to the mat, left arm cycles and circles, up and overhead, reaching fingertip to the floor, keeping that left shoulder pulled back, nice big stretch through the left side of the upper body. And then we'll reach as far as our left hand can reach and pull our elbow back. So think ripcording a lawnmower here, really pulling like you're pulling with resistance, flexing and or extending, lengthening and shortening the muscles here, moving them how they're meant to be moved. And then on the next pull, we'll switch sides, so coming into center, up, a big breath brings our hands up. We'll exhale, come down, bringing the left elbow to the floor, left forearm to the mat, right elbow, or right arm, this is my hand, up and over, reaching fingertips towards the ground, right shoulder open towards the ceiling, and pulling back with this right arm. Breathing here. Keep it going. Big stretch through the right side of the body, keeping that right sit bone grounded into the mat. 3, 2, 1. Coming back up, both fingertips walk away from the body, shoulders down away from the ears, pressing the crown up. Walk your fingertips until you can barely touch the ground anymore and just feel the lengthening happening in your arms. Big breaths here, filling your chest, filling your ribs, filling your belly, and gently spiral through the abdomen here. So counterclockwise or clockwise, spiraling here, getting those digestive juices flowing so that you can have a meal afterwards. It will be delicious. And then we'll change direction, spiraling the other way. And then we'll bring our hands up parallel to the floor, flip our palms up to the ceiling, little pulses reaching up. So arms press down parallel to the floor, reach up, tap the fingertips, and pulsate here. So really active, reaching through your arms. If your arms are feeling loose and floppy, you won't feel it, so make sure you can feel it. Yoga from your head to your toes and the tips of your fingers, up and down. And then we'll bring our hands up and we'll cycle one at a time back. One at a time, other arm weights up at the top for it, and then we'll keep them going 2 at a time. And then slow that down so you can change direction, swimming arms forward. And then let your arms rest, give them a shake. Shake them out. And we'll come forward onto all fours. So hands planted underneath of the shoulders, knees underneath of the hips. We're going to take our right leg extended out long, toes pointed down towards the floor. We're going to rainbow that right leg side to side. So lifting and lowering to the outside of your mat. Making sure you're not sinking too deep into that low back. You want to keep your belly engaged so your core is strong. Remembering that an engaged core doesn't necessarily mean sucking in your tummy. It's more so pressing your belly button out and then pulling your abdomen in. Up and down, side to side. then we'll take that right leg, lift it way up as high as we can lift it up into the sky, pointing through the right toes, knees into chest. Little pulses here, knee to chest. And then we'll take that right leg, pull it way high into our chest as we cross our right leg over our left, sitting back into Gomukhasana or cow face pose. Knees stacked on top of one another, feet are wide. And we'll take a big breath, hands come up to the forehead, lifting the gaze up. And then we'll exhale, nice, slow, long breath as we fold forward. Arms come behind our back, and we'll reach one hand back at a time. So reaching left, right, stretching our arms way back. And then we'll bring our hands back in front, coming forward, leaving that right knee on the ground, lifting our left leg up behind our bodies, left toes pointed towards the floor, rainbow into our leg here, lifting and lowering on either side, keeping that belly engaged. Keep it going, lifting as high as you can, making sure not to crunch too much into that low back, keeping that belly engaged. And then lifting that left foot as high up as you can get it, big breath. And then as you exhale, pulling that left knee in towards the chest, tiny pulses here. So pulsing the knee up towards the chest. And we'll take that left knee and cross it over the right, sitting back into our cow face pose here. Sitting up nice and tall, reaching your thumbs for the arches of the feet. Give them a nice little massage as we spiral our chest clockwise, so to the right. Nice massage through the arch of the feet. I like to use the crook of my thumb or the knuckle of my thumb, pulling from the heel towards the toes. And then we'll reach our hands down towards the mat, standing up onto our feet. We'll turn to the right, coming all the way around to the front of our mat with our right foot forward, left foot back. So we're bending down into our high lunge here. So left heel is pressed way back behind the body. Leg is long. Front knee is bent 90 degrees, coming up into our lunge, hands onto the knee. We shimmy forward and back. Making sure you can wiggle those front toes. And then we'll release the hands from the knee, reaching them behind our back, down, parallel with the leg. And then we'll walk them out, one elbow at a time comes forward, keeping that forward back shimmy going. And then we'll reach our hands down to the mat, pulsing our fingertips down towards the floor. So reaching down, little pulses. We'll plant our hands down beside our foot and we'll lift and lower through the left leg. We'll look underneath that right armpit as we take our left leg and step it on out to the right side of our mat. Coming into our curtsy lunge, so rolling one shoulder at a time, lifting through the chest into our curtsy lunge. Our hands come to prayer at heart. Big breath fills us up. We exhale, bend down through that right knee as we twist to the right as well. Tiny little pulses here. And we'll press down to the bottom of our pulse and get some circles happening with our right hip. Circling it out nice and quick. Yeah. Grooving it out. You can get your whole body involved with your hip circle. Should be a little bit on fire. If not, that's okay. Keep circling your hip. Big circles with the right hip. Planting down into that right. We kick our butt with our left leg. And then we're going to leave that right leg on the mat, bringing that left leg coming all the way around to our figure four at the top of our mat. Finding our balance, ankle over knee here, sitting down into our figure four chair. We're bringing our hands to our hearts and pressing our hands side to side. So pressing your hands side to side. You can go at your own pace here. A nice slow stretch can be nice. Reminding yourself when you throw yourself out of balance that sometimes you fall, and that's okay. And then we're going to take our hands, reach them forward with our diamond fingers, so pointer fingers together, thumbs together, rest of the fingers splayed open, pressing from the heart, thinking Care Bear stare, pressing away from your body. Yeah. And then we'll Care Bear stare it forward as we hinge at the hips, pressing our chest down towards our shin. We'll give our left knee a hug as we pull it up towards our chest. Breathing here. And then we'll lower down through our left leg, stepping our feet hip width distance so you're at the top of your mat. Our feet are hip width distance and we're circling out through our hips. So drawing figure eights parallel to the floor, bending your knees, getting them involved, get your whole body involved. We're wiggling it out. So speed it up, get a good wiggle, keep those figure eight hips going, get your arms involved, hips go side to side, knees are bent, bring it down low, bring it back up high, and down low again, and up high again, and one more time down nice and low. And then one more time, bringing it back up, toes come together. Big breath brings us into our standing stretch. And we exhale, hinge at the hips, forward fold. Breathing here. Gentle little micro pulsing through the knees, up and down. Keeping your breath 360 degrees around your torso, your upper body. Breathing deep here. And then stopping those pulses, pressing your hips up towards the sky, lengthening through the backs of the legs. Breathing here, knee to nose. We'll plant our hands down beside our feet as we plant into our left leg, stepping our right leg back long, coming into our high lunge here. So our right leg is extended nice and long. Our left knee is bent 90 degrees above our ankle. And then we walk one hand at a time up onto our thigh, pressing into our thigh for traction. We're lifting through the belly, creating space from our pubic bone to our belly button to our solar plexus to our chest, squeezing our shoulder blades together. Our chin is slightly tucked, so we're nice and long through the back of the neck, and we're pulsing forward and back. Fire. Nice. Forward and back, forward and back. Wonderful. And then we'll release those hands, hinging at our hips, so we're a nice straight line from our heel to our head. As we reach one elbow at a time, comes forward, across the body. And then our hands reach down towards the mat, little pulses here, up and down. And then we'll reach our hands down on either side of our right leg, bending our knee down towards the mat, our right knee down towards the mat, stepping onto that left foot, bringing that right ankle on top of the left knee, sitting down into our chair. Hands to heart center. This time we're inverting our mudra in front of our body, so backs of the hands come together. We can swing them forward and back, or we can press them side to side, keeping those elbows high as you do this. So you're getting a nice stretch through the arms, sitting down a little bit lower. Stay with your breath, making sure you can wiggle the toes of your standing foot. Fire legs. We're almost there. You're doing great. And then we'll bring our hands up, biceps to ears, hinging at the hips, forward fold, reaching for the mat. We'll take that right leg, step it all the way over to the left side of the mat, rolling up one vertebrae at a time. Coming up to your curtsy lunge on this side, tiny pulses here, bending through both knees. Legs are crossed, squeezing the thighs together, pulling up through the perineum floor. We'll bring our hands, press them into one another, bend deep into that left knee. Big breath fills your lungs. And then as you exhale, twisting over to the left. And then we'll take a breath and untwist ourselves as we step into our mountain pose at the top of our mat. So toes pointed forward, heels pointed back, second toe parallel to your other second toe. Coming up, engaging your shin up to your knees, micro bend in your knees, engaging your thighs all the way up, taking that tailbone and tucking it under slightly so you're active through the front of the body, finding out those ribs, checking them out, making sure they're not splaying. You want to pull them in as well. Big breath, breathing 360 degrees around the body, shoulders roll up, back, and down, palms to the front of the room. Chin slightly tucked, breathing here. Inhaling as if you're sucking energy through your feet straws from the earth up through your body. And the big deep inhale brings that energy from the ground to the top of your head. And then as you exhale, it gives what you don't need out your feet and shares that filtered energy out through the top of your head with your space. So we're taking big, deep, on-purpose breaths here. Our fingers are active and spread. Our whole body is engaged. And then from here, we're going to start as if there's water moving from the ground up through our body. We're going to start making tiny waves here. So starting from your feet and your ankles coming forward, then your knees come forward, then your hips come forward, then your ribs open and lift, your back comes forward, your head goes back, and then your heels and your ankles go back, your knees go back, your hips go back, your chest goes back, it closes and down. So thinking like you are a piece of seaweed being shook by your feet, rolling forward and backwards. Trying to start the movement from your feet, from your ankles. And then just to play with our minds here, we're going to make that movement side to side now. So again, starting at your feet, going right to left, your whole body is loose and flowy as you flow side to side, thinking S shapes with your torso. If your hips move, then your ribs, then your shoulders, then your head, side to side. And then we're going to keep that side-to-side movement happening as we start to bend into our knees, sitting down once again into our chair, bringing our knees together, sides of the feet together, heels slightly apart, sitting down into our chair. Our hands are going to come to our shoulders as we start rolling our elbows backwards. So sitting down as deep as you can tolerate it for your chair, rolling elbows back. Then we're going to change direction, roll them forward. And then we'll bring our left hand out in front. Our right hand reaches out to the side and reaches out under the left. So keeping the hips nice and even as you twist, just activating through the belly, side to side. We'll change it up with some over-unders. So reach side, over, side, under, side, over, side, under. Yeah. Side to side. 3, 2, 1. Bringing both elbows together towards the knees, forearms glued together, elbows side to side on each side of your knee. And then we'll keep our booty sticking out way back, keeping our forearms glued together. Our elbows touch our knees and lift, touch and lift, touch and lift. And then we'll keep our dinosaur tail way out behind us as we lift through our elbows, getting into a back bend. So we're really exaggerating the curve of the back, lifting. And then we'll bring our hands back to heart center as we pull our belly back, giving our back more of a straight line space. Hands come to the hips. Our hips circle out side to side. So we're lifting and lowering through our hips side to side, shortening our obliques as we lift and lower. And then we'll bring that to stillness as we sit nice and low into our chair. Our left hand comes out. Our right hand comes out. Our left hand reaches out and under. So reaching way high, squeezing into the shoulder blade to reach it out. Twisting through the belly as we do so, keeping our hips as still as we can. 2, 1, and we'll over, under. So out, over, out, under. Over, remember, active with your fingers. We're never letting our hands just flop. They're nice and strong. 3, 2, and 1. Bringing both hands out, we'll cactus, open and close slightly. And then we'll straighten out through our legs, keeping this cactus arm thing happening. We're just pulsing our elbows back to front. And then we'll bring our arms up and down. So fingertips touch, arms stay bent, up and down. We're up at the top of our mat. We're filling ourselves with breath as we reach our arms like we're going to touch our ceiling. And then exhaling, hands come forward, swan dive, forward fold. We're going to lift and lower our chest up and off of our knees. So lifting and lower, thinking wave with the bent spine here. All the wave themes today. And then we'll plant our hands down on either side of our feet as we step one leg at a time back into our downward facing dog. So pressing hips come high, butt goes back. Big breaths, filling up your belly with every inhale and lowering it down. Pressing your heels down into the back of your mat. Lifting and lowering through your toes. And then we'll start shaking out our booty here. So grounding down through your heels, lifting and lowering them, letting the jiggly bits jiggle. That's what they're there for. We love it. It feels great. And then we're going to bring that down dog to stillness as we bend deep through our knees, bringing them 2 inches off of the floor. So we're in a bent down dog or a puppy pose. We're going to take our knees side to side. So keeping the back long. Thinking skiing knees, taking them side to side. And then we'll bring them back to center, lower them to the floor, lift them, open them wide, lower them to the floor. Lift them, bringing them back together, down in the center, lift them, widen them, and lower. So we're drawing little M's or seagulls with our knees open and close. And then we'll lower our knees down in center, point our toes, send our hips back for a child's pose. Big breaths here. And we're going to drum it out, slapping the floor one hand at a time. And then both hands on the mat. We'll step our knees in a little bit closer, tucking our tailbone way under, lifting our chest up 45 degrees to the mat, arms go back, and we do our wave side to side. And then we're going to do up-down pulses. So pulling up through the back of where your bra would sit or between your shoulder blades, lifting and lowering, thinking cat-cow here. Keep it going, little pulses, making them a little bit bigger, seeing how big you can make them, lifting through your hips as you arch your spine, lowering them down, and we'll bring our hands to the mat, coming into a modified push-up. So we're diving forward, sitting back, reaching forward, push up, pressing ourselves back. So hands are coming off of the ground. If that's too much, you can keep your hands on the ground, going through a child's pose push-up. Otherwise, we're diving forward, push-up, pressing ourselves back. And then next time we go down there, we're going to stay sliding those knees out long, lifting and lowering one leg at a time, sliding our forearms forward, coming into our Sphinx pose. So elbows are right underneath of the shoulders, about shoulder width apart. Fingertips are gripping the mat. Big breaths here, breathing into your low belly, breathing into your solar plexus. Filling up your head with breath. Shoulder blades down away from the spine. And we bend one knee at a time, bringing our heels towards our booty. I like to think this is like Playful Mermaid or Beach Babe or something, kicking our feet side to side. And then we'll keep both feet up, toes pointed as straight as you can, and then begin to windshield wiper your feet side to side, massaging out through the front of your quads, or your quads at the front of your legs. And then we'll point our toes down, release our elbows to the side, lower our belly to the mat, bringing our hands back by our hips, palms to the ground, gripping the mat, chin to the floor, so we're open through our chest, chin comes to the floor. We'll squeeze our legs together, take a big breath, exhale fully, and then as we inhale, squeezing the legs together, lifting them up off of the mat, pressing into your pubic bone and your hips to lift your heels as high as you can. Tiny little pulses here, keeping them high, pulsing up to your fullest expression of this locust pose. Three, two, one. Lower those legs down. Left cheek comes to rest on the mat. Let yourself relax here. Stop squeezing your booty. Let it relax. Catch your breath. And then we'll inhale, lift our chin, lift our shoulders, bring our hands to float underneath of those shoulders, coming into a low back sit-up basically, so lifting and lowering through the top of the chest, little pulses, lifting and lowering the shoulders up off of the mat. And then we'll plant those hands down underneath the shoulders, pressing up through tabletop, exhaling down into child's pose, flipping our toes. We'll press our hips up into downward facing dog. We're going to do a wave unload here. So we're tucking into our tailbone and rolling one vertebrae at a time, coming forward into plank. Shoulders above the hands, lifting your gaze is the last thing. We'll bend into our knees. They come almost to our mat as we transfer our weight backwards and up into our downward dog. So unrolling one vertebrae at a time comes forward to our plank. We lift our gaze as the last step before lowering our knees and sending our hips back to our down dog. So we're going to do this a little bit faster, rolling forward, lifting our gaze, bending our knees, hips come back. And again, rolling the hips come forward, lifting the gaze, bending the knees, they come back and up, staying in your down dog this time. We're going to walk our feet up to the center of our mat And then walk our hands back to meet our feet. Thumbs tucking into the crooks of the elbow as we figure eight side to side. And then we'll release our hands down back to our mat, just in front of our feet, planting down through the hands, tucking our chin, shrugging our shoulders up nice and close to our ears. We're going to step our feet back about 1 foot behind our body, taking our feet, bringing them together. We'll do tiny little hops, playing with half inversions here. So keeping those shoulders shrugged up by the ears so they're locked nice and strong, elbows are straight, hands are gripping the mat, and tiny hops here. Hop it out. See if you can kick your bum with your heels, maybe even getting some hang time. And when that's complete for you, stepping back to your downward facing dog and taking your hips side to side. And then we'll look up between our hands, transfer our weight forward, coming into our plank. We'll lift our left leg up parallel to the ground. Big breath fills us up. As we exhale, we bend our elbows close to the body. Our right knee goes to the ground. Our chin goes to the ground. Our chest goes to the ground. We inhale, lift our gaze, lift our arms, tiny little back bend. We exhale, press our hands underneath of our shoulders, coming back to downward facing dog. And one hand at a time, we're going to transfer weight side to side. As we reach up, pat ourselves on the back with opposite hands. Nice and slow, grounding down through your heels. And we'll bring that to stillness as we look up between our hands, transfer our weight forward to a plank, lift our right leg up parallel to the floor, bending down three-legged chaturanga, three-legged knees, chin, chest to the floor. We'll inhale, gentle back bend, and exhale, lower down. Keeping those knees glued to the mat, we'll press ourselves through tabletop into child's pose. We'll take our hands, reach them behind our back, taking opposite wrists, or a hand in opposite wrist, and just give your wrists a rub. So rubbing the hand wrapped around the wrist, nice circles around the wrist, but behind your back. Thinking like handcuffed as a child with pretend handcuffs, rolling out those wrists. Giving your hands a little massage with your other hand. Letting your belly press into your thighs, big breaths here, into your back. And then we'll release our hands, making nice big circles with our wrists. We'll look up to the top of our mat. We'll inhale, lift our chest up, lift our hips as we lift our left leg, step it through low lunge. So keeping that right leg way back behind the body. Hands can be up on the thigh. We're going to bring our foot in a little bit closer so our knee is just slightly behind, or our ankle is just slightly behind our knee. We're going to releve through that front foot. So coming up onto the tippy toes and lower down. You might find it a little shaky here. Totally okay. Hands can be in prayer or on the hips or on the leg itself, wherever is comfortable for you. Three, two, one. And we'll take our right hand to the outside, back of the hand to the outside of the left knee. We reach our left hand, comes forward, and then pull it back, twisting to the left. And then little pulses behind. So like you're reaching just that little extra inch behind you to grab that banana. It's in an invisible tree that's behind you. Reaching for bananas. Oh man. And then we'll take that left hand coming overhead. It's going to land on the inside of the left leg as our right arm untwists and comes up to the side. We can even open up onto that back foot for a full extended side angle. We backstroke with this top arm. And then we bring that arm to stillness, pointing the opposite direction of our feet, little pulses, forward only. And then we'll bring that right arm down, or right hand beside the left, coming up onto those back toes. Slide the left leg back, coming back to down dog, shake it out. So pressing down into those heels, jiggle, wiggle, jiggle. And then we'll keep that jiggle going as we transfer our weight forward. Now we're jiggling in our plank. And then back for our downward dog again. Planting down into the left leg, we'll raise our right leg up as high as we can, looking between our hands. We bend our knee, step it through, lower our left knee down, point those left toes, coming up onto the right knee. Transferring your weight forward so that your knee is just slightly past your ankle. Back knee is definitely behind your back hip, pressing your hips down and forward, releve into that right foot. So lifting and lowering through the right heel. Lifting and lowering, keep it going. You're so strong. Your muscles love stretching and returning. That's what they're made for, more so in a with resistance way. We can talk about that later. We'll take our left hand, reach it forward, and then cross it across the body so the back of the left arm comes to the outside of the right leg. Reaching that right arm forward, we're gonna stretch it back, twisting to the right. Reaching for that banana again, obviously it's right there. I can almost reach it. And we'll tiny pulses back. And then we'll take that right hand, bring it out to the front as it comes to rest on the inside of the right foot. I'm just going to turn around here. Inside of the right foot, planting it down right beside the foot as we come up onto our back toes and open that left leg to the left side. The right arm reaches up to the ceiling and then forward in front for extended side angle. So you are at your longest point from the tip of your fingers to the outside of your pinky toes on the left side. Your left armpit is shining up towards your ceiling. And we're going to do nice, big, giant backstroke circles with the left arm here. And then we're going to release that left hand back to meet the right. Planting into our hands, we come up onto our left toes as we slide our right foot back. Coming into down dog, this time taking your dog for a walk. Bending opposite knees, way deep into center, crossing the body with your knee. And then we're going to bring our hips to stillness, stepping our feet a little bit closer to our body, stepping our hands a little bit closer to our feet. We're going to reach opposite hands for opposite ankles. So just walking it out side to side, reaching back. Nice and slow, working with your breath, exhaling to fold and touch your ankle, inhaling to return. And 3, 2, 1. Stretching out into your down dog. We're going to lower our right knee to the mat and pivot over to the right, coming to the wide side of our mat, stepping our left leg out long to the left side. Rolling up one vertebrae at a time, stacking our hip over our right knee. If this is uncomfortable on your knee, you can double your mat so that it is comfortable. Left hand to the left hip, right hand to the right hip. Pressing your hips gently forward here. So it's easy in this pose to be bent here. We want to keep our body as straight as we can, noticing if we're sticking our booty out, we want to give it a gentle tuck, getting nice and long through those psoas muscles, at the front of our hip. And then we'll take our left hand, slide it down our left leg as our right arm comes up, right above our shoulders. Our shoulder pulls down away from the ear. We inhale, lift our chest, and we exhale, reach over for those left toes. Right hip pressing out to the right side. And then we'll inhale, cartwheel that right arm all the way to the floor. Left hand follows, reaching for the ceiling. And we'll bring our left hand to our left hip, lifting our left leg up parallel to the floor. We're going to swing it forward and back. Forward. So doing your best to keep your leg at the same height as you move it forward and back. And then we're going to bring it back to center, keeping it parallel to the floor. We're going to look to the right as we turn our right ankle inward. So now our leg is longwise on our mat, probably facing the back of the room here. We're going to pivot our hips, come forward so we come onto a modified tabletop with our left leg out. We're going to bring our left knee to our left shoulder and press it back. And then our left knee comes to our left elbow and back. And then we're going to bring it so our left knee comes to our left wrist and back. And again, down to the wrist and then back, over to the elbow and back, up to the shoulder and back. We leave our right hand on the ground as we open through the left arm to the ceiling. So same kind of gate pose, but this time our leg, or the shin of our left leg, is parallel with the long side of our mat. And then we're going to lower that left leg down as we slide our right knee forward, coming into a pigeon pose. So our right shin is across the mat. Our left leg is out behind. We're tenting our fingertips wide to the side, and we're coming back into that wave movement with our spine, lifting and lowering, making waves with your spine, thinking kelp as it flows through the ocean, just going with the flow, filtering what it needs out of the water and giving back what it doesn't anymore. And when you're ready, when it's right for you, lowering yourself to your full expression of your pigeon pose, breathing here. 3 more big, deep breaths. And on the end of your third exhale, slowly beginning to walk your hands close to your body, lifting your torso up off of the floor. Leaving your right leg where it is, slide your left knee in underneath of your left hip as you uncross your right leg and step it out to your right side, coming in slowly to your gate pose with your facing probably the right side of your mat. Wherever you're facing, it's fine. So our left knee is under our left hip, our left shoulder is stacked over top of our left hip. Our right toes are pointing straight ahead of our body, grounding into the pinky toe side, right hand to the right leg, left arm over top, shoulder down away from the ear, and then sliding that right hand down the right leg. We're going to go up and over to the right side, big stretch, keeping that left hip pressed over to the left. And then we'll inhale, cartwheel our hands, left hand to the mat, right hand comes up to the sky. As we lift our right leg parallel to the floor, hand can stay up or come to the hip, and we're going to slide it forward and back. So nice straight leg, trying to maintain the same height as you swing your leg forward and back. Three, 2, moving slowly with intention. 1, bringing it back straight behind the body as we pivot our right hip towards the mat as we bring our right hand down, bringing that left heel inwards so that our left leg is parallel with the left side of our mat. Big breath, pressing your feet away from your head, and we exhale, bring that right knee into the right shoulder. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, right knee, right elbow. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, right knee, right wrist. Lift and lengthen. Exhale, bringing the knee back again to the wrist. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, right knee to the right elbow. Lift and lengthen. Exhale, knee to shoulder, nice and high. Lengthening out with your inhale. And then we'll exhale, bring that bring the left ankle all the way across the mat as we slide our right leg back, coming to pigeon on the other side. Taking our hands, fingertips nice and wide, coming back into those kelp-like movements with our spine. Then we'll go ahead, lower our head down, bringing our hands underneath of our forehead or by our side, somewhere comfortable so you can lay down into your fullest expression of your pigeon pose. Big breaths here. Maybe rocking your forehead side to side on the floor or your hands getting a nice brow massage. Nice and slowly, beginning to lift yourself up out of that pose. Pausing with your breath as you need. Sitting down onto your left hip, bring your right leg, cross it in front. Your right ankle crossed over your left ankle. Then we'll make sure those fleshy bits are up out of the way. Sitting back so our back is 45 degrees to the floor, lifting up our legs so we have a cross-legged boat happening. We'll bring our hands to heart center as we uncross our ankles and cross them the other way, little pulses as we lift and lower through our ankles. And we'll uncross and cross the other way, little pulses. Open and close, cross the other way, little pulses. Your hands can also be on the mat here. Uncrossing and crossing as we pulse. Uncrossing and crossing as we 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more time, uncrossing and crossing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Uncrossing those legs, pulling your knees in towards your shoulders as you grab the outside of your pinky toe side of your feet and roll it back. Pressing your heels up towards the sky, pulling your elbows or your knees in towards your armpits. Gentle rocking side to side, happy babe. And we'll take the left leg and lower it down to the mat, right behind our butt. Right leg crosses over top of the left. Arms come out wide to the side. We'll press our left foot into the mat as we lift and slide our hips to the right as our knees fall over to the left. So cross-legged twist here. Gaze can fall over to the right. Breathing deep here. And exhaling from your belly, from your ribs, and from your chest. Doing your best to keep your shoulders on the ground. Nice nice stretch to the outside of the right leg. And then nice and slow and inhale, brings your knees back up to the sky, pressing the left foot into the mat. Bring your hips back to center, uncrossing your knees, bringing them in towards your chest as you lift your head up, nose to knees, bringing your hands back behind your head, elbows out wide to the side. We're going to lengthen the left leg, crossing the body with the left elbow to the right knee, and then switching. So right leg goes long, right elbow to the left knee, and cycle that out side to side. Keep it going side to side at your own pace. And then next time your left elbow or left knee is in, we're going to keep it in, straightening out through the right leg, lifting the left leg up towards the sky. We're going to bend our right knee, crossing our left leg over our right and lowering our right foot to the mat. Head comes back to rest on the ground. Adjusting your shoulders as you need. Finding your breath, filling up your chest, filling up your ribs, filling up your belly, pressing your belly button towards the sky as you inhale, and then exhaling from your belly, from your ribs, and from your chest. Pressing into your foot, we'll lift our hips up and send them over to the left ever so slightly so we can cross our knees over to the right. Arms out wide. Trying to keep that left shoulder on the ground. Breathing here. Allowing yourself to slow down in this space as we bring our practice to a close. Gently lift your knees up, uncrossing your legs, bringing your feet to the outside of your mat, dropping one knee at a time into center. And then we'll slowly walk our feet into center as our soles stay together and our knees fall apart. Hands come to the inside of the thighs. Gentle push here in our Supta Baddha Konasana, or laying down butterfly or supine butterfly. And then nice and slowly lengthening one leg at a time. Coming to lay. Taking up space, being comfortable, keeping your eyes closed or closing them if you haven't already closed them. Stay in this place with your breath. Closing down your eyes. Beginning to scan your body from your head down to your feet. So starting with your head, noticing any areas of your brow that you might be tightening or holding onto, and letting it soften. Softening from the center of your forehead down into the ground. Noticing where you might be holding your eyes shut tight and let them relax. If your eyes flutter, that's okay. Just softening through the face, working your way down ever so slowly to your nose and your cheeks. Making sure you're pulling air evenly and on purpose in through your nose and out through your nose. Checking in with your jaw, unclenching your teeth, pulling your tongue away from the roof of your mouth, and cradling an imaginary droplet of water on its surface, soft and rested. Scanning your way down into your throat, taking a nice swallow before letting it to rest. And then down into your shoulders, your shoulder blades melt from your heart space down into the ground. Your arms are relaxed. Maybe taking a moment to touch each fingertip to your thumb before telling your hands too that it's time to rest. Moving your awareness down into your heart as you notice your heartbeat. It's there, always, setting the pace for your life and keeping your rhythm true to your speed. And let it soften, let it rest. It'll do its work without you thinking about it. Softening your awareness down into your abdomen, into your belly, feeling your belly lift and lower with your breath. And letting it to soften into the ground. And then bringing your awareness to your hips, letting them melt from the center of your belly into the ground. Unclenching your bum and just letting it rest. Sliding your awareness down into your thighs, letting your knees fall apart, fall open. Holding on to nothing. And bringing your awareness down past your shins, softening your calves into your ankles, maybe giving your ankles one last rotation before letting your feet fall apart. And with one last deep, conscious inhale, fill yourself up. And as you exhale, breathe it all out and let it all go. Settling into this space. Letting your water that is you, that is your life, that is a reflection of everything, be still so that you can see clearly. At this point, completely letting go of the need to control anything in your surroundings or your body. And just giving yourself permission to be here. In the practice of our life, we recognize that water is the softest thing. and yet it can penetrate mountains and move earth. This shows clearly the principles of softness overcoming hardness. So staying soft, slowly begin to welcome your mind back into your body, bringing it back in. Reconnecting with your breath, filling your belly, lifting it up towards the sky, taking a deep on-purpose inhale. And then exhaling fully, letting your belly button fall towards your spine. And again, on purpose, inhaling to the count of 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. And inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. And one last time. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Eyes remain closed. Body is relaxed. Breathing normal. And begin to reintroduce movement into your body, maybe by wiggling your fingers and toes, rocking your eyes side to side behind your closed lids. Maybe even taking a moment to take a great stretch, waking yourself up again for another time today. And then when you're ready, rolling onto your right side, pausing here. Before pressing yourself back up to a seated position to end your practice where you started it, but in a whole new space. So move those fleshy bits out of the way, sit up nice and tall, do a little scan from the bottom of your body up to your head, checking in with how you're feeling now. And remembering and noticing that now it's like this. And all together we'll fill ourselves with breath, reaching our arms wide to the side, fingertips active all the way up as we pause and gaze up in exaltation for this day, for our life, for this world. We are grateful. We fill ourselves with breath as we unite or plant our hands together and bring them down to our third eye, forehead, where we breathe here and we remember to think kind thoughts. And maybe even while we're at it, we'll think flowing and expansive thoughts also. And then we'll fill ourselves with breath as we bring our hands down to our lips and our throat, the center of our voice, where we speak kind, flowing, and expansive words. And one last time, all together in this practice today, we'll fill ourselves with great breath, bringing our hands down to our heart center, where we always remember to take action in a kind, expansive, and flowing way. Thank you for joining me for this wild flow practice today. I see you. Namaste.